So this week we've got free range. We can talk about whatever it is we want to talk about that is geeky or nerdy. And I think what I'm going to talk about this week is going to be things that I'm geeky or nerdy about that other people wouldn't really consider part of the geeky, nerdy universe. First, I want to talk about my number one love. And by number one love, I mean the thing that I loved most in the world before anything else geeky or nerdy. Sitcoms! Yeah. When I was a kid, I was like any other kid, and if it wasn't animated, I would not watch it. However, one day I caught on TV a television show, and it was called Perfect Strangers. And for some reason, I decided to continue watching it. I had to have been like 4, 5, 6 years old. And I laughed so freaking hard. It was so funny. And from then on, sitcoms, as long as it was a live-action show that had some sort of laugh track behind it, I enjoyed it. This followed a major obsession that still lasts to this day with Nick at Night and TV Land. My favorite sitcom of all time is called Community. This one actually is still currently airing on NBC, so check this out Thursday, 8, 7 Central. It is seriously hilarious, and I'm excited for new episodes finally coming on Thursday. When I was a teenager, I got into a series that I still love to this day, which doesn't air anymore and hasn't aired since the 1980s, but it is still an amazing series, and if you guys ever have the chance to check it out, you certainly should. Three's Company. This series is absolutely hilarious. It's about these 3 people who live in an apartment together, but these 2, and then later on, Mr. Furley, after these 2 leave and Furley takes over at the apartment complex, don't want a man living with 2 women because all he thinks it's going on, or he thinks it's going on, is sex. And they're all actually living very platonically. They're like brother and sisters. And so he has to pretend, Jack has to pretend that he's gay in order to stay. And then there's Larry, who is Jack's like really good friend, and it's hilarious, and I love this series so very much. It's so very funny, and it's nothing but a farce. I like farce, because that's what Community is too. These 2 are very, very similar. They're both very British sitcom-y, very dry humor, very farcical comedy. Just a lot of misunderstandings and really weird comic things that always occur. But it's not just American comedies I love. I'm also a really big fan of British comedy like Red Dwarf, but I could consider this part of the geeky, nerdy community since it's kind of a spoof of Star Trek, so whatever. Star Trek lovers, watch this series! Now go do it! You can probably see clips of it on the BBC Worldwide YouTube channel. It's funny, it's hilarious, I love it. Something else that I'm really nerdy or geeky about is actually fish. As odd as that sounds, when I started working at the pet center when I was up in St. Cloud, I knew nothing really about fish. I had fish prior to that. I had a goldfish tank when I was like 9. And then my grandma had a semi-aggressive tank when I was like 4, and they were my fish. And then after that, I've had fish tanks on and off, and I had baitables and things like that. And I started learning about fish and realized that having a fish tank is so freaking cool. So I started a new tank up, and it was a community tank, and I had my blue lobster, but then my heater went crazy and boiled my lobster. And no, I didn't eat it. It was actually a very small crayfish that was like this vibrant, beautiful blue color, and he was cool. I named him Gyarados. I know Gyarados is a dragon, but I don't care. Gyarados is my favorite Pokemon ever. They all kind of slowly died off. They didn't survive the move down here, so I just didn't set up my fish tank again. I ended up selling off that fish tank. So having a fish tank is something that I really love and know very well, and I get to work with fish all the time at work now again, and it's fantastic, and I love it. And I just really know fish, and it really helps when I'm at work and people have questions about fish, and I can be all nerdy about fish because I know it, because I learned it while I worked at the pet center, and it was fantastic, and I love having conversations about fish, and I love teaching people about fish. And if you have fishy questions, ask me questions down below, because I can totally help with any questions you might have. And if I don't, I have plenty of good resources to go to at work, my coworkers. So, TK, we will see you tomorrow.